Okay, what's up people? This is Otis from One West Health and Fitness and I'm back with a new video. So my first videos were about the Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor fight. I did a preview and also a prediction. This video is just going to be a post-fight review and I'm going to give my views about the fight. First though, I just want to say thanks to everyone that has taken a look at those videos and also subscribed to my channel. Just want to say I appreciate you taking the time to look at the content. And I look forward to providing even better quality content, starting with my workout videos, which are coming very, very soon. Okay, so on to the fight. And I know I'm late to the party with this because the fight took place pretty much 2 weeks ago now. For those of you that don't know, Floyd Mayweather won the fight in 10 rounds. I predicted in my video that Floyd would win in 6 rounds. So obviously there's a little bit of a difference in those, well, what happened and what I guessed. But I've got a few reasons as to why I think the fight dragged on longer than I thought it could have done or should have done. I'm going to go into those very shortly. Overall though, I thought it was a decent fight. I thought it was entertaining. I thought McGregor did okay, but I think it was the expected result in the end though. And I think that's what's going to happen when you have a expert or a master at a craft and you've got a dabbler. And when we're talking about those two, you've got Floyd Mayweather as the master and Conor McGregor as a dabbler, albeit he is a high level dabbler, but he hasn't had the time to put in the amount of hours and years into the craft of boxing as Floyd has done. Also, you've got to consider Floyd is extremely talented and he works very, very hard. And a lot of people have heard the quote that goes, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work. But I think Floyd has shown that if you're very talented and you also work very, very hard, you're going to be pretty much unstoppable even if you are 40 years old. So, onto the fight now. And I think one thing I thought watching the fight was that Floyd carried Conor for the fight. He could have stopped it a lot earlier if he wanted to, really. Anytime he wanted to, he could have just stepped it up. I think the first round highlighted this quite well in some ways. So firstly, in the first round, Floyd Mayweather threw 6 punches according to the stats. Now 6 punches is nothing. You're not going to win anything throwing 6 punches in a round. And Floyd is known for starting his fights quite slowly, working out his opponent and taking time to build up his rhythm. But at the same time, even though that's a trademark of his, he also wins a lot of those first few rounds and or at least tries to win them. In this one, there was no effort. Like you could say he was in first, well, it wasn't even first gear. He hadn't even taken a handbrake down. So yeah, he didn't do anything in those first rounds. But he did let Conor come to him. And whilst Conor was fresh, he let Conor come to him, unleash, let go of his shots. He was on the ropes as well. And he wasn't running from the ropes either. And obviously there was a lot of talk about the size difference with Conor being much bigger and much stronger. So you'd think that Floyd being a smaller guy would have been trying to avoid the ropes. If you look at the Canelo fight, for example, all the commentators always saying Floyd doesn't want to be on the ropes. You need to avoid the ropes. But Floyd embraced the ropes. He was very comfortable there. And I think that was part of his mental battle, shall we say, with Conor McGregor. I think he wanted to show McGregor that he weren't scared of him and he wasn't worried about his supposed power that he had as well. And I think by sitting on the ropes, that was one thing he showed him early on, I'm not scared of you. Another thing also was that he let him come to him in those first rounds and also the second and third rounds as well. He let him come to him. And with that, given that Conor had said, I'm going to knock you out within the first 2 to 4 rounds, it kind of possibly puts that question in Conor's head. What am I going to do if I can't knock him out in the first few rounds when I'm full of energy, my punches are heavy and they're connecting? If my power's not going to work, what's going to be my angle? How am I going to get this guy out of here? So I think that was a mental battle that Floyd won with Conor during the fight. Also, another thing we saw in the first round was the way that Floyd set up in his stance. And usually Floyd is in shoulder roll, uses his shoulder roll. So he's in a half guard position. So he's up like this. So he's only got one hand up, but it makes him a lot more elusive, and there's a much smaller target for his opponent to hit. This time he came up in a more orthodox two-handed defense position, so it made him much more of a target and easier to hit as well. And it's the first time I've ever seen him fight like that, really, for a whole fight as well. And I think it showed that he didn't really respect Conor McGregor's power or his skills, because you've never seen him set up like that against any other boxer. So I think he kind of thought, okay, I'm fighting Conor McGregor. It's fine if I catch a few punches on the way through to winning this fight. I'm willing to take that risk. But if you look at all of his other fights, it's not something he was willing to risk when fighting the top or elite boxers. So I think those two things in the first round showed that Floyd, if he made little changes to those things, it would have had a big impact on the fight and made the fight end a lot quicker. Okay, so another thing that was a big talking point before the fight was Conor McGregor's skills. And there was a lot of talk of whether he should even be in the ring with Floyd Mayweather and how he's going to manage. But despite that, we can't say that he didn't have success, because he definitely did have success in the fight. And if you look at the first round, he caught him with a flush uppercut, which a lot of people have been citing and mentioning. He also caught him with a couple of straight lefts, and also caught him with a couple of jabs. And there were times when he was slipping some of Floyd's punches and also slipping and hitting back as well. So he showed decent skill, and he showed himself to be quite competent at times. But I do think his skills were overplayed by pundits and also a lot of just the general public. I think some of the pundits, their reviews of the fight or of his fight, you'd think that Conor McGregor gave Floyd the fight of his life, but it wasn't so. And I think from the second round, I saw some things that I just thought were ridiculous in a boxing ring. Like, from the second round, I saw so many rabbit punches, and not only hitting behind the head, but he's hitting like this. So that's like the UFC hammer blow that when they're doing the ground and pound and hitting the opponent when they're on the floor and that kind of stuff. So he did that so many times. And also there was the holding, literally he was holding Floyd from behind and then trying to punch him in his head from behind and that, or from the side, which is madness. So people talk about, oh, they were so surprised at his skills, but some of the things he did were a bit ridiculous as well. But one thing I will say is that maybe, I'm not sure if it was part of a plan, but I think it was actually smart anyway. Because in doing those things, it slowed down the fight, number one, and it also took Floyd out of his rhythm. Because if you've got someone consistently holding you, consistently rabbit punching you, it takes you out of your rhythm, it can upset your flow, and you can't get into that, just that rhythm of being able to chase down your opponent, land, come in, come out, as Floyd likes to do. It was just very, very stop, start. So maybe it was a smart move by Conor McGregor. I think there was also talk about the volume of punches and the amount of punches that he landed. And he did have a high volume of punches. He did also land more than Manny Pacquiao landed in his fight with Conor McGregor, which everyone is going crazy, well, a lot of people are going crazy about and saying he did so well. But I think a lot of those punches were pitter-patter punches. They weren't really hurting him at all. And after a while, there wasn't much intention in his punches either. I think a lot of the round, he started off quite active and throwing punches, but it felt like he's throwing punches to show the judges that he was active. But I don't think there was any intention behind him. There wasn't much effectiveness in what he was doing. And I think in the end, it kind of worked against him, because all of those punches thrown, they didn't actually take Floyd off his game or make Floyd step back or have to change his angle or worry about those punches. Floyd just still kept coming forward, and McGregor got even more tired. So it kind of worked against him in the end, I think. I've thrown all those punches without having any result. any slowing down of your opponent. And given we're talking about Conor getting a bit tired, we have to talk about Conor's stamina issues, or perceived stamina issues at least. So, going back to the UFC, Conor is 29. He's a very active fighter in the UFC arena. He fights a good 2 to 3 times a year, and he's always in shape pretty much. His opponent was Floyd Mayweather, who is 40. Fair enough, he always was in shape when he was boxing, but he's been inactive for 2 years and hasn't fought for 2 years. Plus, you've got the fact that Conor said he was pretty much in the best shape of his life, and so many other commentators that know him from the UFC and fans, and to be honest, everyone was saying Conor was in great shape, fantastic shape. So why did he fade out from round 4 or 5, maybe even before that, to be honest? So I think that stamina issue played a part in the fight, or didn't help him anyway. When you're lacking in skills against your opponent, the last thing you want is your fitness and stamina to fail you. But I think if you look at his previous fights with Nate Diaz, I saw those stamina issues from there, because the first fight, he lost that fight, but it lasted 2 rounds, and after the first round, he went back to his stall and he was blowing out of his arse. He was finished, and that was 5 minutes, 1 round. Fight finished in the second round. He got submitted. The second fight he won, and that went 5 rounds. And the first 2 rounds he was way on top, and he knocked down Nate Diaz 3 times, I think. But then Diaz came back into the fight from the round, probably round 3 or so, and Conor once again was fading. And I know people talk about Floyd running, but in this fight, I remember McGregor was literally running to get a break from engaging with Diaz. So he'd jog around the ring and literally run around the ring to get away from Diaz and breathe and get away from the action. So those stamina issues, I think they've been there from before, and obviously they've played a part in this fight as well. Okay, as for Floyd, I think he did okay, but it definitely wasn't a vintage Floyd performance. I think he probably just rose to the level of his opponent, and obviously Conor isn't an elite boxer by any stretch of the imagination. So he did what he needed to do to get the win, I guess. I think the style change made him look a lot less impressive. Like I said, when he's in his usual stance, using the shoulder roll with the half guard, he's a lot more elusive. He's a lot smaller target to hit, and his work on the counter with the counter punches is like sublime. And this time he looked okay, but nowhere near as impressive as he usually does. I think also what we saw with Floyd was that in the 5th or 6th round or so, when Conor was really starting to tire, and you could tell, Conor started retreating, and Floyd actually had to start chasing him down. And that's something that we don't usually see Floyd doing. You never really see Floyd doing, because he's pretty much known as a counter puncher. So that was something that he's not used to doing, and he had to do in this fight, which was interesting. I thought it was a good thing, good feature. However, around that time as well, from round 5 or 6, you saw Floyd start to come out with his trademark punches. So you saw the body shots, the right to the body, also the straight right to the head. Those started landing with a lot more, well, I wouldn't say accuracy, but a lot more frequency, and it started to wear down McGregor to the point where obviously he finished him in the 10th round. However, I would say that I think Floyd may have shown that time is catching up with him, or age is catching up with him. I thought he was less accurate towards the end, when probably the last 2 rounds, when Conor was tiring really badly, and he's had the ability to pot shot when the defense was a lot less strong than it would be at the start of the fight. He wasn't really connecting as well as he usually would, or as I've seen him connect in the past. Also his reflexes and the way he got hit in this fight. But once again, maybe that could be down to the fact that he wasn't in his usual stance. And I was saying to a friend, I think it would be interesting to see how Floyd got on if he was to fight one of the top 5 welterweights because that's the weight that Floyd usually fights at, 147 pounds. It'd be interesting to see how he fought against one of those, whether he'd still be as good or look as good as he was looking before or not. I mean, he has had 2 years out, so maybe the ring rust has just played a part. Maybe it's not that he's lost the speed or the reflexes, maybe it's just the fact he hasn't been in competition. But it would be good to see him against an elite athlete, but I guess that's a pipe dream now. It's just going to be a what if conversation, because obviously he's retired and I can't see him coming back now anyway. So in conclusion, I'd say the fight was a good fight. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. It wasn't evenly matched at all, but it was a good fight and enjoyed it. I think Conor McGregor, he did okay, like I said, but he never hurt Floyd at any time. I know he thought that he did, but you look at any of Floyd's fights where he's been hit or even rocked, like he was against Mosley, for example, and Madonna. There was nothing like that, and McGregor never did anything to take Floyd off his stride. He might have caught him with a one shot every now and then, but Floyd still came forward. There was no worries in anything that Floyd was doing. However, I would say that he did win the first rounds, 1 to 3 probably. Definitely the first round and the second round, probably even the third round as well. I don't know what the judges were talking about when they said that Conor won the first and then they gave the other 2 to Floyd, because Conor was much more active in those rounds. So I'd give him those rounds. But yeah, after that, Floyd started taking over and it was the beginning of the end, really. I think in the end, the quality showed. I think the ref prevented a KO, which was literally coming seconds after, if he didn't stop it there. I mean, I know McGregor said that he wasn't tired, he wasn't hurt, he was fatigued. But if you look at the footage, he literally no longer had the energy to hold on. He couldn't throw anything back, and he was just getting licks all over the place, getting his head rocked back, and Floyd was just chasing him around the ring. So it was the end. And I think in boxing terms, refs have got to be safe to stop a fight when a fighter can't fight back and he has no chance of winning the fight. And that was the case there. So the ref did the right thing, I guess. However, it was a spectacle from the start to finish, and I enjoyed the press conferences. The 4 press conferences in the 4 cities, all the build up. Fight was decent as well, the post-fight press conference as well. The guys did well to earn their money, and they earned a lot of money. So I guess from here, the boxing fans will move on to next weekend, where GGG is going to fight Canelo in a big super fight. And I guess UFC fans will be looking forward to when Conor comes back in the ring. And he's going to be fighting Diaz, apparently, in a third fight, which will be really interesting. I won't be doing any fight reviews on those. My fight reviews are done. And I'm going to be moving on to the fitness videos now and the training videos. So if you're looking to keep fit, find ways of working out with minimal equipment, not having to spend hours a day working out, just 20 or so minutes, this is your time now. So if you're watching now, thanks for watching up till now, and hit that subscribe button, because like I said, your time's coming. Those fitness videos are coming within the next week or so, and I'll keep them coming. So stay tuned, thanks for watching, and I'll be back with you guys soon. Peace.